Good morning, evening, or night, wherever you are. Welcome to WHAM today. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's drift through the whispers of today's world, one quiet thought at a time. As we wrap up Friday, 23rd May, 2025, let's see what stories are unfolding around us. Australia's financial markets responded positively to a rate cut by the Reserve Bank of Australia, boosting banking and energy stocks. This monetary policy shift also influenced the Australian dollar's trading value. Greatland Gold is planning a secondary listing in Australia, restructuring its holdings to facilitate the move. Economically, the increasing volume of Chinese online goods entering Australia is helping to curb inflationary pressures. The National Stock Exchange of Australia is set to be acquired by a Canadian exchange, marking a shift in ownership. Adding to trade activity, Australia Pacific Airline finalized a significant supply agreement with Sinopec, which includes a price adjustment. Turning to the United Kingdom, Redbird Capital Partners, a US-based investment firm, is set to acquire the Daily Telegraph, a British newspaper with a long history, in a deal valued at approximately $674 million. In the United States, former President Trump has stated he may impose a 25% tariff on Apple products if the company fails to manufacture iPhones domestically. Moreover, a proposed tax bill under consideration by the Trump administration threatens to repeal clean energy subsidies, a move that could adversely affect Indian solar companies reliant on the U.S. market, as evidenced by the drop in share prices of Waaree Energies and Premier Energies. Saudi Arabia is witnessing a major economic transformation, with the Public Investment Fund, PAF, avoiding investments in Swiss financial services. The nation has made strides in gender equality, doubling the proportion of women in the workforce since 2015. Flannis's IPO was priced at Sarati amid high investor interest. Roshan has become the most valuable Saudi brand, valued at over $1 billion. Female entrepreneurs are playing an increasing role in building a sustainable local food supply. Leidos and SAFE are collaborating to enhance security screening procedures across Saudi Arabia. MasterCard has launched a Cyber Resilience Center to bolster cybersecurity. The kingdom is also influencing global tourism with the Tariffs platform, aiming to redefine the future of travel, backed by a substantial $600 billion investment deal. China's electric vehicle market is seeing intense competition, with BYD outpacing Tesla in European sales for April. Apple is responding by increasing iPhone trade-in values to maintain its market share against domestic competitors like Xiaomi and Huawei. Trade talks between China and the US are ongoing, with both sides agreeing to maintain communication after meetings in Geneva. China's advancements in green energy are seen as a possible avenue for easing political and economic tensions. Financially, China approved PAG's $6.90 billion acquisition of Wonder Malls. Queensland, Australia is strengthening its ties with China by establishing a new trade office in Shenzhen. Furthermore, the Shanghai Futures Exchange, SHFE, and the Shanghai International Energy Exchange, INE, are the first mainland futures exchanges to join the UN Sustainability Initiative. New regulations are also being developed to streamline overseas listings for Chinese tech firms. Japan is currently navigating a complex economic environment marked by rising inflation and fluctuating currency values. Core inflation has reached 3.5%, a peak unseen in over 2 years. This inflationary pressure is accompanied by increased yields on long-term bonds, a trend mirroring developments in Europe. While the weaker yen has benefited Japanese stocks, oil stocks have experienced a decline. Corporate earnings are expected to decrease for the first time in 6 years, influenced by tariffs and the stronger yen. A Japanese tariff envoy will visit the U.S. next week for trade discussions. Additionally, Thundersoft presented its smart vehicle solutions for the Japanese market at the Automotive Engineering Exposition 2025 Yokohama. A Wall Street analyst has warned of a potential global financial market Armageddon related to the surge in Japanese bond yields. Russia's ongoing conflict with Ukraine continues to draw international attention, with former US Vice President Dan Quayle asserting that the war shows no signs of ending soon and questioning Donald Trump's relationship with Vladimir Putin. The 7 nations are increasing pressure on Russia, threatening further sanctions unless a ceasefire is implemented, and Russian assets will remain frozen until Moscow ends the war and provides compensation to Ukraine. Domestically, Russia is experiencing economic strain, leading to cuts in essential projects within the aviation, technology, and automotive sectors. In military developments, Moscow airports were shut down for the 3rd night running due to Ukrainian drone strikes. Vladimir Putin announced that Russia is planning a security buffer zone along its border with Ukraine. Ukraine is reportedly engaged in a major prisoner exchange with Russia, according to a Ukrainian official. The ongoing conflict with Russia continues to dominate Ukraine's international relations. The European Union is reinstating trade quotas on Ukraine amid its ongoing conflict with Russia. Ukraine intends to propose tougher sanctions against Russia to the EU in the coming week, responding to concerns that US sanctions are not proving effective enough. Ahead of a major prisoner handover, President Trump has speculated that a prisoner exchange between Ukraine and Russia could pave the way for significant progress. Recent reports confirm Ukrainian drones successfully targeted and struck a Russian battery plant involved in missile production. The 7 finance ministers have collectively attributed global economic instability to Russia's continued war in Ukraine. A consensus reached even after initial hesitation from the United States, and they have pledged to reduce economic policy uncertainty. India's stock market rebounded strongly on May 23rd. The Sensex increased by 769 points, closing at 80,1721. The Nifty 50 rose 243 points to settle at 24,853. Technology and FMCG sectors drove these gains. Market volatility remains, influenced by the U.S. economy and mixed earnings report. The narrowing of India's bond yield premium over the U.S. could risk fund outflows. The Make in India initiative faces challenges despite U.S. tariffs on China. The United States is grappling with possible economic changes. A Republican tax bill could slow electric vehicle sales. This is due to the elimination of federal subsidies. President Trump suggested a 50% tariff on European Union goods. He also encouraged Apple to move iPhone production to the U.S., even amid trade tensions. A Chinese baby products firm is expanding into the American market. This is the world's largest consumer market. Asian markets experienced a positive trend, driven by China's interest rate, aimed at stimulating its economy and a retreat in treasury yields. This positive sentiment also contributed to the rise of Asian stocks and the stabilization of Bitcoin. The rupee, along with other Asian currencies, gained ground as fiscal concerns weakened the dollar. The Astana International Financial Center, AFC, is actively enhancing its engagement with Asian investors, seeking to strengthen financial ties. Moody's Marie Diron has cautioned that Africa's increasing reliance on Asian capital may come with associated costs. The United States President Trump declared his recommendation for a 50% tariff on imports from the European Union, citing stalled trade negotiations. He also used social media to threaten Apple and the European Union with escalated tariffs. This development follows a previous pause on heavy tariffs imposed by the president on various countries, which was in effect until July. South Korea's economic landscape is under close observation as investors dissect the latest producer price index PPI, for April, seeking insights into inflationary pressures and manufacturing costs. The Korea Composite Stock Price Index, KOSPI, reflected some market uncertainty, dipping slightly amidst mixed reactions to the potential impacts of the U.S. tax cut bill on South Korean businesses and trade dynamics. Meanwhile, diplomatic channels remain active, as South Korea and the United States recently wrapped up their second round of tariff negotiations, signaling a continued effort to navigate trade relations. Turning to New Zealand, the country's economic pulse is being gauged through the lens of its first quarter retail sales figures. Investors are keenly awaiting the data, which will provide crucial insights into consumer spending habits and the overall health of the New Zealand economy in the face of global economic shifts. The European Union Autos Index took a hit, dropping 3.6%, after former President Trump suggested 50% tariffs on e-goods. This contributed to a wider downturn in European stocks, while bonds saw a corresponding rally. In contrast to the tariff concerns, BID sales in Europe skyrocketed by 359% in April compared to last year. Notably, BID has overtaken Tesla in European electric vehicle sales. South Africa is strategizing a legal avenue to permit Starlink's operation within its borders. Bolstered by strong gold market activity, the South African rand saw a rise, with markets now keenly awaiting the next interest rate announcement. A meeting between President Ramaphosa and former US President Trump did not impact the rand's stability. Furthermore, South Africa took on hosting duties for the Global SME Ministerial Meeting, fulfilling part of its obligations as a G20 nation. Uganda has secured $800 in funding from the Islamic Development Bank, IDB, and Saudi Arabia for infrastructure development, including a rail project. In Ghana, the nation's debt burden has decreased to the IMF threshold, achieving this milestone ahead of the 2028 target. Meanwhile, Nigerian manufacturers are reporting harassment related to foreign exchange contracts and are advocating for a resolution. Egypt's central bank has responded by cutting key interest rates by 100 basis points. Shifting focus to Asia, Pakistan's foreign minister and their Saudi Arabian counterpart have convened to strengthen bilateral ties and discuss the regional situation. Business confidence in Pakistan has seen a significant upswing, with a survey indicating a 16% point improvement. Indonesia, looking to diversify its financial instruments, is set to issue its inaugural dim sum and kangaroo bonds this year. In Vietnam, authorities are moving to block the Telegram app due to concerns over illegal content. Sri Lanka's DFCC Bank has obtained a $12 million loan from Switzerland to foster green initiatives. Singapore's core inflation has slightly increased to 0.7% in April, surpassing economists' projections. In China, the China International Cultural Industries Fair has debuted an AI exhibition area. Aramco, ADNOC CCE, and QNB, Emirates and Roshan are recognized as the top brands in 2025. Across the Atlantic in Europe, Germany's economy has experienced a growth of 0.4% in the first quarter, doubling initial estimates due to robust exports and manufacturing. Germany is also making preparations to defend Europe. The EU foreign policy chief has emphasized that Serbia, as it seeks membership, must make a strategic choice between aligning with the West or the East. Poland's stock market rally is facing a test due to a closely contested runoff election, creating investor apprehension regarding potential political instability. Sweden's central bank is anticipated to lower interest rates next month, according to survey data. In the Americas, Canada's stock market closed with gains as the S&P TSX Composite rose by 0.06%, and Bank of America suggests that the TSX could continue to outperform, with the Canada cycle indicator nearing a two-year high. Argentina, under the leadership of Milei, is developing a plan to attract billions of undeclared US dollars back into the country. Brazil's JBS is pursuing shareholder approval for a US stock listing on the New York Stock Exchange. A company that customized a Qatar jet for the Trump administration has reached a $62 million settlement in a false claims case. A Wall Street veteran maintains that America remains a dominant force. New Zealand continues to experience a decline in market share relative to Chile and South Africa. Turning to the Middle East, France and Saudi Arabia are collaborating on a new peace initiative aimed at disarming Hamas. Algeria is set to issue sukuk in June to finance various projects. Finally, in Spain, a new measure has been introduced to help IPOs navigate market volatility. And that's a wrap for today's news. Because even headlines need a nap. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the noise fade as you find your quiet. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time on WHAM Today.